welcome to today's video. So I have been chasing this fan problem for about 2 years now, and originally my stock fans went out for the same reason, which I'm going to get to. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I just replaced it with a remanufactured stock fan. It has gone bad on me in less than a year. So to circumvent this problem, we got big boy fans now. This is a SVT GT500 fan. This is a direct bolt-on for your 05 to 09 Mustangs. Same plug-in. And this, I believe, is our problem on the fan that is in the car now. This is our low and high speed fan resistor. And what happens a lot of times is it will generate too much heat, it'll pull too much amperage, and it'll overheat the resistor, causing the fans to shut off. The only real way to fix this is to replace the resistor or to replace the fan. And the CFM that this fan moves is, I believe, 2600 CFM, and this one's about 3200, so it's quite a bit more. In order to get this started, you need to remove your accessories like your coolant expansion tank, your power steering expansion tank, and your intake if it's in the way. So it looks like we have one fastener here and another one here. So it looks like 3 bolts we're gonna have to take out in order to remove it. Here is our resistor. Company that this this made in Taiwan fan is, it's ORP on American Muscle. Don't get it, guys. It's junk. Take it from me. Even the connector, look at it. I've had a problem where this connector slid out multiple times because it doesn't slide in all the way. It's just poorly made. Don't deal with it. Here is the only hard part of this install, is trying to get this stupid connector unplugged. They put it in such a tight location and it's not fun. So I can get some, oh, that bolt's gone. I got the mother of all connectors on this thing. It's so tight. Oh, there it is. This is our resistor here. This is what is supposedly blown. And that's it. Fan is free. Now we gotta wiggle this thing out of here. Slide up. I had to get this little fin past this coolant hose, but I think it is out now. The junk is out. Okay, so here's our old junk fan. Here's another difference I just found. Here, this shroud, here's a big difference I found. On the stock fan shroud, it's a solid shroud, but on the GT500 fan shroud, it has these neat little fins that open. And the purpose of these, I know the new GT350s have this, and I guess the old GT500s had it too. But for when you're cruising on the highway, this opens up and lets more airflow into the radiator instead of having it all funnel through here. And since they only open one direction, when the fan kicks on, it'll vacuum seal these closed and direct all the air through the fan to get better cooling. Pretty neat engineering. Squeeze it by the hose. Almost in. There we go. That side is in, as well as this side. Okay, where's our connector? How did I lose my connector? Oh, here it is. So we're just gonna snap this bad boy back on there. Hopefully it goes in. Oh, money. This one fits so much better. Thank you, Ford, for making your parts fit. You don't want to tighten these too much because your radiator is aluminum. You will strip them out. I have a bad habit of over tightening bolts. I'll tell you what, this bolt is a pain. This wants to cross thread so badly. This doesn't fit very well. Honestly, we could probably Dremel this little cooling fin off, but it's in. Not a direct fit there. All right, I think that is it. Looks just like factory, except it's cleaner now. All right, ooh. Caught him. Oh, we gotta test it. So the way these fans work in these cars is the fans, they're set by the ECU to certain temperatures that they'll turn on at. And I have mine set to 176 degrees, the low speed resistor turns on, and 198, the high speed fan turns on. That fan will stay on as long as the speedometer is reading below 30 miles an hour. 30 miles an hour is the cutoff. You can't change it, I don't know how. But 30 miles an hour is the fan cutoff, the fan hard cutoff, to let the fans rest and just let the wind from the grill cool the radiator. When you turn the AC on, it hard turns on low speed fans until the PSI in the AC condenser reaches a certain PSI, and then at that point it turns on the high speed fans to cool it even more. So let's see if they turn on when we turn on our AC. This should turn them on. It also may make the AC a bit colder because my AC was getting warm because the fans weren't working good. Oh no. No fans. The fans are not on. That's not good. As soon as I turned the camera off, the fans turned on. They're working. They're louder than the old fans. That sounds cool. All right, they're off again now. All right, we're at 176. When this hits 178, these fans need to turn on or I'm gonna be real mad. 178, please. They're not on. Huh. Fans are not on at 180. All right, we have something else going on. All right, it just hit 192, and the fans turned on once it hit 192. I'm not too sure why. It's just completely skipping the low speed fan setting, which is concerning. Oh brother, did this just get interesting. I was checking my relays. Don't want to spoil it for you, but I was checking my relays. This is your low speed fan relay. This is your high speed fan relay, and this is your horn relay. I was interchanging the three to see if the horn works with every one of these relays, and it does, surprise. But as we meander down here, under the fuse box, we got a little melting going on. And I am positive that this is why our fans are not turning on. That's bad. I don't even know what this is called to look up to replace it. But this just got more interesting. Oh yeah, we're in deep. This doesn't just snap out. It has to be rewired completely. Here's our culprit. This sucks. All right, well, we're in pretty deep in this, it looks like. We're gonna have to be wiring in a hardwire fan switch to the dash to just completely circumvent the wiring harness. Our only other option really is to rewire the whole fuse box, and that's not worth it. So in the meantime, we can at least get the cars clean. Have them looking good while they're parked. All right guys, so here we are a week later. I have pretty much figured out what we're gonna do with our fan issue. So I went ahead and I bought this wiring kit from Summit. It comes with a waterproofed relay. It is a SPAL, I think 40 amp fan relay. So what we're going to do is we're going to hardwire this relay. We're gonna snip off this connector here. We're not gonna use the factory Ford connector anymore. We're gonna wire it straight to the fan using this positive and negative, and we're gonna be putting a manual switch in the car. I'm not sure which switch yet. I bought two. I have this little flip one. I also have this little lever one. I don't know which one's gonna work better or look better, but we'll get there when we get there. There we go. Here is our old connector. I don't know if I described it well why this happens, but I did some reading and I made a poll on my Instagram to see if anyone else had this problem where their fuse box melts like this. And apparently it is a quite common problem on these 05 to 09 Mustangs. Even previous generations, the 05 to 09 seem to have the weak point in the fuse box, and it seems like the 2011 to 14 Mustangs, they seem to have the problem at the pigtail on the wiring harness. And what happens is either it's not a high enough gauge wire or it's poor wiring from Ford. It is poor wiring from Ford. But what happens is the circuit overheats and it starts melting the surrounding areas. And the only real way to fix it is I could either replace the bottom of the fuse box and hope this doesn't happen again, which it might, or I could just wire up a proper relay and be sure that this is never going to happen again, and always know when my fans are on. All right, we're at a point where I think everything should be wired up enough to test it before I button everything up. But I have 2 more wires. So far, what we got is we have our fan wired to our chassis ground here, which is wired to our relay here, and our relay is wired with a 30 amp fuse to the battery here. And then these are our last 2 wires. These are what control the signal to turn the fan on and off, and like to determine when I want it on and off. So in theory, if I connect this orange one to power and this gray one to ground, the fan should turn on. Oh, it just turned on. Why is it clicking like that? Okay, our 12 volt signal is wired up here. Our terminals are back on, and I have this ground set up just to test because I want to make sure that the fans are working. The relay is clicking, but the fans aren't turning on. Okay, this took embarrassingly long to figure out, but the fuse was blown. That's why it wasn't turning on. I blew the fuse when I tested it, and it took me 3 hours to figure that out. I've been going through wiring for 3 hours, and I think I have it set up now. The relay's clicking when I flip that. There's no fuse in it right now, so hopefully when I put this fuse in, it will turn the fans on. Oh, it did for a split second, then I heard it blow the fuse. Came with a 40 amp, please. Ah, we did it. Oh my gosh. That's so relieving, you have no idea. Okay, so here's what we ended up doing finally. We deleted our resistor because this is a big point of failure on these cars. So we're wired straight to the fans. It goes chassis ground here, power wire goes to our relay, which I have mounted to this fuse box mount here. It's waterproof and it's solid mounted, so this is a nice piece. And we have this main power wire going to a 40 amp fuse. It recommended 30 amp fuses, but it kept blowing them, so we went to 40. We have this main power wire. We have a signal 12 volt going to the relay, which is responsible for clicking the switch on and off. And we have a signal ground going to the switch, which is also responsible for clicking the relay on and off. And yeah, now I just have to clean it up and make it not look like a rat's nest. Okay, so cleaned up the wiring a little bit. I'm gonna have to get a bigger loom because this loom here can't fit all the wires in it. But what we're doing is we're taking all these guys and we're tucking them down here into the wheel well through here into this grommet that already has a wiring harness, and collecting our wires right here. And then we're gonna bring it through this tunnel here and find a placement for our switch over on our driver's side. All right, we're done. After, this was like a 7-hour job. It should have been an hour job, but I just finished tucking the wires. And here, let's start it so it doesn't load the battery. I put my switch here. I have a black cover for it, but I couldn't get it on. But the silver doesn't look too bad. Harris, you like the silver?
It looks real good, I'll tell you what.
Handyman.
Oofa.
Oofa.
Wow. That's some big boy stuff right there.
Wait, you ready? Fans. Bro, they're not on. So this thing kept popping fuses, so I redid a couple of the connections. I took off the crimp connectors and redid it with solder where a lot of the load is flowing through, because I figured maybe there's a bad crimp connector and it's arcing and it's making a short, popping the fuses. Yep, they turned on. Let's see if it runs. I haven't driven this car in like 2 weeks now. And they're on. All right, I think we're good. I'm gonna let it run for a little bit and make sure. What's happening is when it's starting when it first starts, fan first gets power, it pulls more amps than it does when it's just running normally. So it gets a surge of power, and that's what was popping my fuses. And I also think I had a bad connection right here, which wasn't helping. So hopefully we're good now and I can drive this again.